You are listening to the Maple Footy Podcast. This is the unofficial football podcast of the North. I'm your host, Sam Little. Find me at official Sam Little on Instagram. There's nothing left to say except for sit back, enjoy, and welcome to the show.
Hello, yes, welcome back to the Maple Footy Podcast, the mapliest, the footiest, the podcastiest of all the podcasts that I think you will be listening to today. But yeah, no, Premier League match day wrap-up, recap, whatever we want to call it. There will be no Maple start, sadly, because not many Maple boys played in the last little few days. So we'll get the Maple start at the beginning of next episode. But yeah, for now, we'll just move right along into the Premier League recap. So yeah, sorry. I wish that there was some Canadian stuff that I could talk about, but at the moment the CPL draft is going on. It's currently happening as I'm recording this, so I can't really talk about it. But yeah, outside of that, nothing that I've been keeping up with that I can really talk about. So we'll move right into the Premier League recap. And of course, segments go match of the weekend. I mean, it's not the weekend, it's midweek, so match of the match day. Biggest winners of the match day, biggest underperformers, best performance, moment of the weekend, relegation zone, European places, and title race. So let's kind of get in with the match of the match day, typically match weekend, but it's not the weekend. We get the point. So yeah, I mean, the match that I watched closest was, of course, Chelsea-Southampton. Oh my gosh, is it a Chelsea fan? You watched Chelsea? What? Yes, I did. It was a rather entertaining game if you were a Chelsea fan, or I would say a neutral. Just a pretty one-sided affair past about the 10th, 11th minute. It was pretty one-sided, I would say. But at least that one side kept it pretty entertaining. I would say Chelsea played some very entertaining football in this match. Just really controlling the game very nicely. I can't really pick out like a bad player or anything like that. Goalkeeper Jorgensen looked good. Kukurea, Tosin, Disasi, Gusto all look solid. Gusto and Tosin both unlucky not to be on the score sheet. Tosin hit the woodwork, I believe it was twice on the night, and Gusto hit it once, but I believe that might have been offside if I'm remembering correctly, so his wouldn't have counted. And then Enzo Fernandez looking like a man reborn these last few games. He's looked very, very good. Moises Caicedo, who we already know, has been one of my players of the season. Joao Felix looked entertaining. Palmer and Kunku linked up really well, and Madueke looked very good too. Southampton, their woes continue. I mean, a pointless red card. I was about to say yellow card. Red card for Stevens pretty early on, like 35 minutes. You know, it was a brainless move, I would say, if I'm being blunt. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he's doing it, and I'd love to maybe ask him, I don't understand why he's done it. He leaves his team in a pretty bad position. I mean, they were already 3-1 down as is to a very red-hot, informed Chelsea side. So chances of coming back may have been rather slim as it was, but then you kind of go ahead and shoot yourself in the foot and make matters even worse. It doesn't bode well. It doesn't help. And of course, it really didn't on the night. In Southampton, they just really look lost at the moment. I mean, I've been saying it all season. I do think they're just going to go straight back down. It is a shame. They have a great loyal fan base. I mean, and I think it speaks pretty loud volumes when their loyal fan base at the start of the game, it didn't look super full. It didn't look empty, but it didn't look super full. I can't help but think that could be because of the way that they're playing, the form that they're in, and just the overall just poor start to the season, really. They looked like they had a little bit of hope in that first 11 minutes. I mean, quickly they found an equalizer after Chelsea found the net first, but then after that, it was just all downhill. But yeah, take nothing away from Chelsea. I thought they looked great. Enzo Maresca's got the Blues looking like a good team again, which is a far cry from the last couple of seasons where the players looked like they couldn't even They couldn't even pass the ball back and forth. But now they look like a proper team and a proper contender for Europe. I still think title race shouts are, I don't want to say unjustified, just because the title race this season, it looks like it could be anyone's. But I don't want to say they're definitely title contenders, because this is still a young team, and I don't know. They've found themselves in taking advantage of a pretty below average run of games. These are teams that we kind of expect them to beat, and that's not me downplaying this, because these are the games last season that we would have lost. Under Poch, these were the games that we were losing because we lost every other game. It was literally a flip of a coin of whether or not we were gonna do well or not. So it is nice that we're picking up these points now. But yeah, I don't want to put us in the title race just yet, just because I think it might be premature. Give us another season. Maybe we're there. But hey, who knows? Maybe in the next 5 games we're closer to Liverpool and we're maybe 2 points off them instead of the 7 that we are. So, we'll see. But yeah, just if you want just a proper walloping, I would say give this a watch, or at least give the highlights a little bit of a watch, because 5-1 actually surprisingly flatters Southampton. I know that's kind of ridiculous to say that 5-1 is flattering, but yeah, no, 5-1 flattered Southampton. It really did. Chelsea honestly probably could have seen double digits, and I'm not exaggerating. Like I said, the couple off the post, and then just some other chances that just weren't buried. But yeah, it's looking bleak for Southampton. But if you just want to watch some quality goals, some quality play too from Chelsea, it looked very good, very fluid, just very nice, to easy on the eye, if you will. So, if you want to watch that, go right ahead and enjoy it. Another match that I would say that I kept a pretty close eye on was Liverpool and Newcastle, and it was a pretty good one, if we're being honest here, guys, because proper back and forth stuff, really. Newcastle goes 1-0 up, Liverpool tie it. Newcastle goes 2-0 up, Liverpool tie it. Then Liverpool take the lead for the first time. Then the 90th, Newcastle find the last minute equalizer. Just proper Barclays kind of game. Do you know what I mean? Just really digging in from both sides, really, because Liverpool was never on the front foot until the very end, and then it was Newcastle that then had to dig in, and then they did. So I have a lot to say on the Liverpool team, and I will in a minute. More than a minute, but once we kind of get more along in the episode, I'll kind of talk a little bit more about Liverpool. But Newcastle, I think this is a very good result for them. I mean, I know it kind of actually technically pushes them down the table just based on how other results went, but they've been very hot and cold under Howe over the last, what do we want to say, 18 months, really. I wasn't impressed with them at all last season. They haven't really lit a fire under me this season either, but this kind of just showed that they can get up for it. They're still definitely a well-respected team, probably still a little bit of work that I think needs to be done to them if they kind of want to see that those Champions League spots again, or even just consistent European challenges. But I think this kind of shows the character that this Newcastle side can have. I mean, it's the classic Newcastle way, right? I mean, we all they're a hard-working fan base, really. I mean, obviously I don't live in England, but from what I've seen, what I've kind of kept up with, they're very hardworking, and I think that the team on this night represented that, and I think throughout the season, I think they need to continue to represent that if they want to keep going. But yeah, it was just a proper back and forth game. I mean, just that classic mid-table kind of side giving it to the title contenders, and it's just one of those games where you kind of just sit up and you watch and you're just entertained, really. And I mean, that's why we watch this, don't we? Because it's entertaining, and this definitely lived up to the billing. It was rather entertaining. So yeah, if you want to give either of those maybe a full-on watch, or watch the highlights, I don't think you can go wrong. I mean, there were some other quality games too. As always, it's not just the games that I talk about, but definitely, if you want to give those ones a watch, I don't think you can really go wrong if you're asking me, unless of course you're a Southampton fan. Sorry, but yeah, moving into biggest winners of the match day. Sorry, I have it in my note of biggest winners of the weekend because I'm used to doing this on the weekend. But I digress. So I would say Aston Villa really turned it around. They really did. They needed that. I think it was 8 winless in a row in all competitions. Yeah, they needed that. And especially against a team like Brentford, who has been in very good form this season. And for Villa now to leapfrog them in the table, going up. Now Villa's back in 8th. They're back in those European discussions as they're 22 points. They're just 1 point behind Brighton in 5th. So it really does kind of, winning hides a lot, and winning kind of has really papered over those cracks that were kind of starting to show. We'll kind of see how Aston Villa kicks on from here, because it could just be a blip in this bad run of form, and who knows, they go on another 5, 6, 7, 8 game winless run, or they go on a 5, 6, 7, 8 winning run. You never know. The Premier League's a very fickle thing, but yeah, I mean, Villa really took it to Brentford on the night, and it was, to me, done and dusted within the first half. 3-0, a great goal from Morgan Rogers. If you haven't seen that, definitely go check it out. A great assist from Ollie Watkins. Watkins buries a penalty a few minutes later. So I think that will do the world of good also for Ollie Watkins. His confidence has looked shot recently. So I think that this kind of performance will hopefully maybe reignite his great form that he's found himself in over the last couple of seasons. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think that Brentford is his old team. I'll actually check that real quick. I could be wrong, and I could just be spouting you nonsense. No, Brentford is his former team. I was right. He played for them for 3 years. So yeah, I was right. Not that anyone was arguing that point, but yeah, no, it's one of those games where you kind of hope that he can refine that form that we've come to know from Ollie Watkins. He's such a class player. He's not just a typical number 9 poacher. I think there's a lot to his game. So if he's kind of in his best form, I think Villa can find themselves in their best form. And then Matty Cash, who I'm actually a very big fan of, gets a goal, and that's just kind of a feel-good moment. He struggled with injuries a lot over this last year. I mean, he missed the Euros because of it. So it's kind of nice to see him get that moment. It was a pretty nice goal on his part too. But Morgan Rogers definitely the pick of the bunch, and what a season, by the way, Morgan Rogers is having, speaking of. And then Mikael Damsgaard tried to make this interesting in the second half, but I just think it was too big of a mountain to overcome. And I think Villa fans were desperate. They were almost like the 12th man on the day, because they were really desperate to see their team win. And I think once they kind of went 2-0 up, I don't really think the fans were ever even going to let Villa give this up. They were rocking all night long. And, the third goal goes in. And I think, once again, just that big push from the fans sometimes is what you need. And the fans, I mean, once again, just so loyal. You know what I mean? Like, it's what we love to see. So I think this is a very big moment for Villa in their season if they want to kind of turn this around. I think that kind of takes a little bit of pressure off of Unai Emery, which is good, because I was kind of vocal last episode saying I think sacking him would be a mistake. Not sure if there was any rumors about it, but 8 winless, those rumors could end up coming up. So hopefully this kind of takes a little bit of pressure off them, and maybe this is a big turning point for Villa in their season. Another big winner, of course, I think, is another team that had gone winless over the last few games, and it is Manchester City. And once again, I mean, you expect Manchester City to beat Nottingham Forest, but Nottingham Forest has had a very, very good season, so I don't want to discredit them and play this off as, oh, well, of course City beat Forest, because Forest is a very good team. Like, let's be honest here. They've had a very good start to the season and are pushing for European places. But really, just with the quality that City has, you do expect them to win these games, and win it on the day they did, because it was 3-0, kind of like the Villa game, really over. In the first half, it was 2-0. Jeremy Doku really had a good game. I thought he looked very bright against Liverpool. And then he kind of comes in here, grabs a goal, grabs an assist. Kevin De Bruyne found the score sheet. Bernardo Silva found the score sheet. So is kind of two players there, Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva, who really haven't had a good season. Like, let's be honest, they haven't had good seasons, whether it's been De Bruyne's case of just kind of been unlucky with injuries and hasn't been able to really get into the squad, or Bernardo Silva, who just looks out of form. And then Jeremy Doku, who I actually think has been pretty good this season, but just hasn't, clicked for him in the stats kind of wise of like goals and assists and whatnot. So maybe this once again, kind of like for Villa, is this a turning point? Only time will tell. But it definitely, once again, is that monkey off of City's back. Not losing another one, and it's especially bouncing back after that Liverpool game, which I think was a massive blow to their confidence, I would say, and I would kind of figure it would be, just because Liverpool are their title rivals. So I mean, hey, it is only one game for both Villa and City, but I do think that these both respectively were very much needed. And like I said, these could be turning points. Only time will really tell. My last big winner of the match day was Everton. 4-0 over Wolves, and yeah, isn't my sly confidence from a couple episodes ago when Wolves had won what was it, 4-2 or something? Isn't my sly confidence looking dumb now, huh? Yeah, sorry, they won 4-1 over Fulham a couple of episodes ago. Yeah, isn't my confidence looking dumb? But I still hold strong. Wolves will not be going down. I still don't think it happens. But yeah, I mean, this is a big, big result for Everton. It takes them 5 clear of the relegation zone. They will obviously know that 5 points at this point in the season doesn't guarantee you safety, but it is definitely a lot better than being chained to the bottom of the table. And to do it over a relegation kind of team right now, like Wolves, is also a pretty big thing. I mean, I know 2 goals were own goals, so maybe you could make the case that the scoreline kind of flatters Everton, but I really don't think it does. They kind of have Wolves on the ropes all game, and both those goals really come from 2 great plays from Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Shame that he doesn't leave the game with 2 goals, because both the own goals were kind of caused because of him. So it's kind of a shame that he doesn't get to kind of actually have that brace. But in the end, I'm not sure he cares as long as his team gets the win. And, a big moment for Ashley Young, walloping in a free kick. Yeah, how old is he now? 38-year-old Ashley Young, still doing the bits for Everton. 39-year-old Ashley Young, still doing the bits for Everton. So, I mean, shout out Ashley Cole. Mangala even had a nice little shot there, deflected in for Everton. So, yeah, like I said, you can make the case that maybe Everton, got off a bit lucky or flattered or whatnot. I really don't think that's the case. I think they just outplayed Wolves the entire game. And, I mean, beautiful man Sean Dyche. I mean, what else would we expect from him? Do you know what I mean? So, kind of moving into biggest underperformers. And yeah, this is probably the first time I think this season that I'm putting Liverpool on here. And yeah, I know, you're putting them on for a draw. But I think I kind of have to say that, as I've been saying, they haven't impressed me all that much this season and haven't looked like that. Yes, these are the champions. These are the guys that we're going to see crowned at the end of the season. And that's not me saying that they won't be. Just from the way that they're playing, it hasn't really given off that vibe. As I've given them their flowers multiple times, I mean, I think they've been the winners of my weekend, match day, whatever. They've been the winners of it for, I think, every single one I've done. So it's not like I haven't given them their flowers, but I did kind of just want to discuss them just a little bit, because I think a lot of issues that have been covered up from them winning kind of slipped a little bit here. And yes, it is only a draw, so I'm not trying to get too carried away. They usually win, so I don't really get to discuss this, but they didn't finish their dinner on multiple occasions, and there is a man who is at fault for this, and that is Darwin Núñez, because when you're brought in as a 70 million pound striker to be that 20 to 30 goal a season striker, to get those goals when your team needs them, and you don't do it, and he hasn't done it this is his 3rd season now. He actively cost Liverpool multiple points last season from not being able to convert chances, and now he's doing it again here. He's a very good all-around player, but my thing is, when you're brought in to be that, the franchise striker, kind of in terms of a football, American football, the quarterback is your franchise player, when you're kind of brought in to be the franchise striker kind of thing, and you're not really living up to that price tag from a goal scoring standpoint. And I know he has scored his fair share of goals, but it's always the goals that he shouldn't score that he does, and the goals that he should score that he doesn't. He's missing these sitters. He's missing these passes that were put on a plate for him. And I'm not saying that this loss is that this draw is 100% on him, but he is the main culprit in this Liverpool side, because I can respect the fact that he does a lot for them. He does. He works hard off the ball. He links up play very well. But to me, they already have a player that does it just as well as him, and that's Cody Gakpo. So really, when you're not even the best at that in the team, but you're also not scoring, why are you in? Why is he the guy that they're using as the striker? And I know Liverpool fans will defend him, and that's fair, I mean, everybody has that player. I mean, Chelsea with Timo Werner, when did he leave us? 2-3 years ago. Like, the Chelsea fans defended him because he kind of like Darwin Nunez. He was a hard worker off the ball, made those around him better, but when it came time to finish, he wouldn't finish. And that's kind of what it is with Darwin Nunez. When it comes time to finish, he doesn't finish. And these are the games, these are the moments that cost you titles. And Liverpool fans, I think, will know that all too well. Like I said, if you go through last season, a lot of points were dropped because Darwin Nunez or Luis Diaz or whoever didn't finish their dinner. Like I said, the main culprit is Darwin Nunez. Obviously, every team, every player misses their chances. But I think, like I said, when you're brought in to be that striker that they can rely on and you've been anything but that, there needs to be a change. And that's just how I see it. I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that would definitely disagree with me, and that's totally okay. Everybody sees it differently. That's just how I see it. Like I said, he works hard off the ball. He's a very good player. He's a good all-around player. But when you already have other players that are on his level as a player-wise, he needs to be then separating himself by scoring the goals, and he's not scoring the goals when you need him to score the goals. So that's kind of my issue there with Darwin. Another big moment that I think really, really cost Liverpool is, of course, that third goal. Kelleher has been getting his flowers throughout social media for stepping in for Alisson, which is no easy feat. Let me be clear about that. But if we're talking about moments that cost you titles, this is a moment that costs you a title. What is he doing? What is he doing? If I was a Liverpool fan, I think I would have probably thrown something at the wall. You know what I mean? Because what are you doing? Come out. If you're coming out, you have to claim the ball. And he doesn't even try. He lets it go. Like, yeah, obviously he thinks it's going out, but if you're coming out, grab the friggin' ball. What are you doing? Like, I don't understand why he didn't grab it. Obviously, he thought it was going out, but why not just even punch it out? Grab it. Who cares? Just get it out of danger. And in the end, Fabian Schär, I mean, most players wouldn't have scored from that angle, but somehow it does trickle in. But it's just so... As someone who's not a Liverpool fan, I can imagine how frustrating it is for a Liverpool fan if I'm sitting here going, what? So I can imagine being a Liverpool fan watching that and just, what are you doing? Like, grab the ball. So speaking of moments that kind of cost you a title, those can be moments that cost you a title. And it is a shame because he's really covered himself in glory stepping in for Alisson, but that is just what separates, to me, that's what separates an Alisson Becker from a Kelleher. That's why one of them's the number one, and that's why one of them's the number two. It's just the difference in quality, because I think Alisson grabs that or punches that, and Kelleher just doesn't. So I think that's kind of the disparity of it. I'll kind of move on from Liverpool for the time being, just because of its, because I think I've made my point here, and I've tried to explain it the best that I can. Like I said, there's probably a lot of Liverpool fans that would probably disagree with me on what I've said, but that's just kind of how I saw it, and I just wanted to kind of say that because this felt like the appropriate time to kind of say it. So maybe this is kind of a turning point for Liverpool. Maybe they start playing a different style. Who knows? Maybe it's just a bump in the road, and now they go invincible for the rest of the season, and they didn't even lose, right? So they didn't even lose. They still got points from this game. So it's not all doom and gloom. Like I said, just when there's big moments like that in the game that you don't win, it gives me a little bit to talk about. But now kind of look into West Ham, another team kind of like Leicester, who has really struggled this season. And I mean, shout out Leicester, they got a win under Rude, so I did put them in the winners. I just realized that, and I probably wouldn't have anyways. But yeah, no, shout out Leicester, because they are the ones that beat West Ham. It's a bad outing for West Ham. It ends 3-1. It really could have been 4, as Decorative Reed had a goal ruled off. So it could have been worse for West Ham. And I mean, it started off really badly, as Jamie Vardy put Leicester 1-0 up 2 minutes in. But yeah, West Ham just kind of really still kicking on in that just turmoil of the season. They just haven't been able to compete, it feels like, at times. And Leicester is not a good team this year. And this is a big game because, like it or not, it feels like West Ham could be dragged into this relegation battle. I don't think they're there just yet, because they are 6 points outside the relegation zone, but they're not many points up on other teams that are kind of just outside of it. They're only 1 point up on Everton, 2 points up on Leicester, 3 points up on Palace. Those are teams that separate them from the relegation zone. So like it or not, I feel like West Ham could quickly be dragged into this relegation battle. And when you lose against a relegation threatened team like Leicester in the fashion that you do, it's hard to kind of dismiss you as not being potentially a relegation battling team, especially after David Moyes had left at the end of last season, and you went out and you got Lopetegui, who everybody thought was kind of going to hopefully change West Ham and get them back to where kind of Moyes had them, but then kind of lost them, where they were kind of a respectable like top half team that could be challenging for like Europa League or Europa Conference League or something like that. That was kind of, to me, that was the point of kind of Moyes kind of leaving the project and then bringing in Lopetegui, because I felt like Moyes had taken them as far as he could, and Lopetegui felt like he could help them kick on, but it's had the exact opposite effect. They've looked worse under Lopetegui than I think they potentially ever did under Moyes. Definitely last season. I don't remember West Ham ever looking this bad last season. Maybe they did, but I just really feel like West Ham just they haven't really got it. I mean, the thing that saves them right now is that I think they have Wolves next. So yeah, because people on the internet stays undefeated, have deemed this El Sacico between Wolves and West Ham, because it feels like either one of their managers could get let go at any given moment. So we'll kind of see what happens here. But yeah, I mean, West Ham just ain't looking. They're not looking too hot right now, and I think there needs to be a big change for them. But credit to Leicester, they grinded out the 3-1 result. But yeah, West Ham just, they need to get their stuff together, and they need to do it quick, because the season is moving quickly. And like I said, it really feels like they're fast approaching a potential relegation battle. And then my final underperformer, it's got to be Tottenham. It has to be Tottenham. I'm sorry to the Tottenham fans if you listen to this, but yeah, they just looked poor against Bournemouth. The score for either team probably could have been a lot more. The game ended 1-0, but I feel like the score for both teams probably could have been a little bit higher. Maybe on a different day, Tottenham wins it. I don't know, but I mean, leave it to Tottenham to beat City. Well, to lose to Ipswich the week before, then to beat City, and then to go winless the next 3. Leave it to Tottenham, because, of course, I mean, they have Chelsea next, so, maybe they turn around against Chelsea. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time that Tottenham pulled off a big result against Chelsea. I mean, it'd be a rare occasion, but it wouldn't be the first time. But yeah, no, they just, I mean, I don't want to get too much into Tottenham, because, I mean, it just is Tottenham, like, they're just so... They're so up and down. You really don't know what you're going to get from Tottenham, like, ever. You don't know if you're going to get that world-class team, or if you're going to get just, losing to Bournemouth 1-0 when it probably could have been like a 3-3 thriller. I mean, I think Tottenham, kind of like Liverpool right now, are struggling from not really having a striker, but with where Liverpool kind of differs, Liverpool has like quality talent that can put the ball in, whereas with Tottenham, like they kind of just have Son. Like Timo Werner, he's a good player. He's a hard worker. Dominic Solanke, I think he's had a decent season, but he hasn't really hit the heights that I think a lot of people would have wanted him to. And, James Maddison's extremely hot and cold. Kulusevski's hot and cold. So outside of Son, like, who are you really relying on? And Son, he's starting to get up there in age. I mean, he's 32 years old. So, like, can you continue to rely on Son? Because I'm not sure you really can. And that's no disrespect to Son, because he's been a very good player for a very long time. But can you continue to kind of count on him, especially when you don't have Kane, and you don't have a guy that even comes anywhere near Harry Kane anymore. So you need someone in there, maybe a young guy. Like I said, I think that's probably why they got Dominic Solanke. I think they wanted that striker that's gonna convert for them. And while he hasn't been terrible, I don't think he's hit those heights. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's kind of Spursy at this point, and like what else do I expect? But it's just very strange to me that Tottenham always seems to do this. They pull off those big results and then at the same time just don't do anything. So it's just interesting. But yeah, I think that they have to be mentioned in the underwhelmers of the match day. But moving on from underwhelmers to best performance, now I'm immediately gonna talk about Liverpool again, because I think they had two guys that really performed at a very high level for them against Newcastle. So first and foremost, I got to go with Mohamed Salah, because I thought he had a very good game against Newcastle. I believe he was the one that provided the assist for Curtis Jones. By the way, Curtis Jones, top class strike, if we're being honest. That was a great goal. But then, yeah, Mohamed Salah then gets two goals, both assisted by one of my other performers of the match day. But yeah, no, he looked sharp, as he has all season. Like I said, he's just inevitable. I've said it before. Even when he's maybe not having his best game, he's inevitable. He will pop up with a goal or an assist. He just will. And I do think he had a very good game here, but just even when he's having an off game, he still leaves the field with a goal or an assist. So he's just one of those players, I think, that just knows how to get that final piece, whether it is the assist or the goal. He just knows where to be, how to be, what ball to play. He's definitely been a good signing for Liverpool, I would say, all those years ago. But yeah, no, really, you would think dug them out on the day. They still do leave with the draw, but when that 83rd minute goal went in, you were kind of getting the feeling, okay, yeah, that's another Mohamed Salah winner right there. But of course, wasn't in the script. But yeah, no, I thought it was a very good performance from him. Another performer was Trent Alexander-Arnold. Came in about 2 minutes after he came in. He provides the assist for Salah's first goal to get Liverpool level at 2-2. Then he provides Salah the assist on the 83rd minute. I mean, love him or hate him, once again, he just knows that ball to play. He's exceptional to watch from a distribution standpoint, because his distribution to me is probably second to none, at the very least in the Prem. I mean, maybe if we're looking like outside of the Prem, maybe there's other players, but in the Prem right now, I can't think of many that distribute better. I mean, obviously De Bruyne's always going to be up there. I think Pedro Neto is actually kind of low-key a shout. Enzo Fernandez distributes really well, but I do think that Arnold is just kind of a cut above at the moment. And, I know there's contract talks potentially stalling between him and Liverpool, so we'll see where he's playing next year. But yeah, no, I mean, he just shows his quality, his class when he comes in here. Like I said, 2 minutes in, or I think it was actually 1 minute. I think I'm actually, not giving him the proper amount of credit. It was, I think, a minute, and he provides an assist, then grabs another one, and it's, I mean, kind of like Salah, he's just inevitable. You know what I mean? Like, he can find those passes. He knows where his team's going to be. He knows where the ball needs to go. And I mean, you can't teach that. It's just class, Moving away from the Liverpool game, another big performance I want to shout out was Howson of Bournemouth and Spain, I believe, is where he plays internationally. Dean Howson, of Spain, 19 years old, by the way, just so we're all clear, 19 years of age. He has played for some big teams, Roma, Juventus, and now, of course, Bournemouth. He looked like a lot more mature than 19 years old out there, because he was running the show in the back line for Bournemouth, distributing out so well from the back, looking much, like I said, much more mature than 19 years old in the Premier League. I mean, when you have Kirkes playing beside you, who's also another great young player, Bournemouth actually has a lot of great young talent, if we're being honest, but Kirkes really helping him out. But he was finding Christie, Adams, Tavernier, Kluivert, Evan Nielsen. He was doing it all, really pocketing, I thought, Dom Solanke on the night, and really kept even playmaker James Maddison really quiet. And just like I said, from a 19-year-old, and he becomes, by the way, speaking of age, he becomes now Bournemouth's youngest ever Premier League goal scorer. So that's quite the achievement. Definitely a very, very big night for him, and definitely a game to be proud of, I think, because keeping that front line, whether they are inconsistent or not, keeping that front line of Johnson, Solanke, and Kulusevski, and then even add in James Maddison, keeping them kind of quiet is definitely no small feat. So just a very big game for Howson, and just really wanted to shout him out because I thought he was very, very good. And then finally, I just want to shout out Noni Madueke, because I thought he had a very good game. I obviously watch him a lot because I'm a Chelsea fan. So at spurts in this season, he's looked either like he's been world class, or he's been looked like he's just been non-existent on the pitch. Today, well, technically not today, yesterday, as I'm recording this, he looked class for Chelsea and was one of their best players on the pitch. It's kind of hard to pick from the bunch of Chelsea players on the day because I thought they were all very good, but just want to give a special mention for Noni Madueke. Scores a great goal, and hopefully, once again, kind of like some other guys, hopefully he can kind of kick on from that and kind of find that consistency, because when he's on, he's looked very good for Chelsea this season. Just when he's not on, it kind of, maybe looks like he's not really involved. So you kind of just wanted to find that consistency, and if Enzo Maresca can unlock that, then that's definitely a positive for Chelsea fans. But kind of moving into moment of the match day, I have two. Euro for Manchester United. I do know that Manchester United did, of course, lose against Arsenal, but I thought their backline played pretty good, even though they did lose 2-0. I thought De Ligt and Euro were both very good. Euro came in the 59th minute, and this is his debut for Manchester United. He's 19. He's a French defender. Came in from Lille, I believe it was. Yes, it was Lille. A lot of hype around him, of course, but then he got injured right away, and it was a bad injury right away when he signed with United. I believe it was in preseason. It might have even been in training, but has not stepped foot on a competitive match for Manchester United. So, whether you have certain opinions on Manchester United or whoever, whatever team you support, no one ever wants to see someone get injured, especially when they're 19 with a big price tag, big expectations, just such a setback that's a real shame. But he came in, he looked class, so I just want to give that a good mention because it shouldn't be overshadowed, even though they did, of course, lose. It's still a great moment for him, like I said, 19 years old, coming out for Manchester United and looking rather good. So it's very nice, if you ask me. And like I said, he's 19, so hopefully that injury has kind of gone. He doesn't have to worry about it. Hopefully, in this game, everyone gets injured, so hopefully he doesn't have to worry about that moving forward. And then my next one, Manchester United alum Jadon Sancho grabs his first goal. And I'm just putting this here because, certain fan bases were rather loud about Jadon Sancho when he left Manchester United. And since he's left, he hasn't been the best player ever, but he's definitely looked positive, kind of like Noni Madueke. When he's been on, he's looked very good. When he's been off, you wouldn't know he's been on the pitch. But this was his first goal for Chelsea, and it was a great goal. One of those moments that you kind of go, you know what, good for you, because he's had to deal with a lot of online abuse, and I know that's part of the job, but still human, of course. So you kind of just like to see him. It looks like he has a smile back on his face. Looks like he's enjoying his football again. And I mean, it's just nice that he kind of gets to cap that off with a greatly taken goal to make it 5-1 for Chelsea. Moving into the relegation zone, do I need to list out the usual suspects because they're all still here? They are. So we'll kind of move from bottom and then move up. Southampton, of course, we talked about them a lot this episode. I mean, I'm not really going to dedicate much more time to them. They're going back down. It's a shame because for the fans, that's got to suck, but they just don't look like they're staying up. Wolves, I am staying strong on this one. Wolves are turning this one around. They will. You would think I'm a Wolves fan with how desperately I'm saying that they're gonna turn this around. But I really do think they will. They have West Ham next, which is crucial for them. And I've listed out their list of games this month and before, but they've got West Ham, Ipswich, Leicester, United, Tottenham, and then to start the new year, they got Nottingham Forest. So I do actually think a lot of those are winnable games, and they could see a lot of points from this. I think that West Ham one is the most crucial because whether it's a meme or whether it's reality, I do really think that one of the managers of Wolves or West Ham will be getting sacked depending on the result of that game. Now, obviously, you never want to see someone lose their job, but we all support this game. We know how it is. These guys do tend to lose their jobs. So I think that this could be a very crucial game and could show us where Wolves will be. And they need to win it because, oh my gosh, I can't be pumping Wolves' tires. They will turn this around. They will turn this around. And then eventually they do end up going down. So they really do need to turn this around. But moving up from Wolves, Ipswich were dealt, I would say, a pretty bad blow against Crystal Palace. This is one that Ipswich would have wanted to win. Palace now putting themselves 3 points ahead of Ipswich. Obviously, it's only 3 points, but when you're playing a fellow relegation rival, you need to win those games, and it's Palace that comes out on top. Ipswich still staying in the bottom three. They do technically move up on goal difference because Wolves had lost by a lot and Ipswich didn't lose by as much. Ipswich actually do move up on the match day, but still they stay on 9 points. And at the end of the day, I think that they're kind of more concerned about points and goal difference at this very moment. Who knows, maybe at the end of the season it comes down to goal difference. We'll have to wait and see. But then, obviously, just talked about Crystal Palace get a big win over Ipswich. Kind of basically what I just said about Ipswich, kind of like opposite that, and that's Crystal Palace. They got the win against a relegation rival, and they end up looking stronger because of it. So maybe they can go and kick on from here. Eze was back. He looked very good. Mateta looked like he was in that form that he found himself in last season. So we'll see what happens with Crystal Palace. Leicester, I still maintain, I think that they will end up going down. New manager bounce and all, because I think we're starting to see that first step in the new manager bounce. They get that big win over West Ham, but I really don't see Leicester staying up at this moment in time. Maybe they prove me wrong and they start playing a lot better, more consistently, but I'm really not sure. Everton as well, kind of what I said about Wolves, opposite that, and that's Everton, because they got a big win, big 4-0 win over, once again, a relegation rival, and have started to kind of separate themselves from being relegation battlers to maybe we can push for mid-table. I don't think so. I think that will kind of die off. But just looking at the table right now, you can make the case. But yeah, moving into the European places, I mean, once again, usual suspects here. You got Chelsea, who are sitting pretty in second goal difference, but Manchester City getting back into the top four, I think that's big for them. Now just 9 points behind Liverpool. I still think that they are the most credible title challengers, next to Liverpool, of course. It just feels like of any team, they can turn this around. They can they can kind of be the ones to challenge Liverpool. I do still think Chelsea and Arsenal, we'll kind of wait and see where they kind of end up. I still think both of them finish top four, but Manchester City back in the top four is going to be very good for them. Brighton fall out of the top four, but still in fifth. Fulham, Forest, and Villa all still in and around those places. Like I've been saying all season, it's just very nice to see other teams. Bournemouth now only 2 points off of that fifth place spot. So who knows? Maybe we see a Bournemouth European push. Tottenham, Brentford, Newcastle, all right behind them by a point. Just places differing them, of course. And yeah, moving into the title race, still currently point-wise right now a one-horse race, as I said last episode, and as I alluded to this episode, that can always change. And I mean, just look at this match week, because Liverpool dropped points, Arsenal, Chelsea, and Manchester City all picked up points. That's all it takes for you to lose your lead, and they go from being 9 points ahead to being 7 points ahead. Liverpool drops more points and other teams pick them up. Liverpool goes from being 7 to being 4 points ahead, and before you know it, that 9-point lead that they just had turns into a 1-point lead, a goal difference lead. So they know, Liverpool do know that they're going to have to close out these games like they had to against Newcastle and didn't. Who does Liverpool have next? I believe it's Everton. So both teams will be up for that, of course. I believe it's Everton. Let me just double check that, because I don't want to say it's Everton and then it's not. It is Everton next. Early morning game. Sorry to the Liverpool fans in Canada. That's an early morning game. But yeah, no, I think Liverpool are really going to need to now turn the screw, turn this around. Like I said, it was a 3-3 draw. It wasn't a loss or nothing like that. But if you want to maintain that big lead that you had, you can't be dropping these points, especially in this December, January time. These are the two, in my opinion, usually end up being the most important months of the season. Of course, that can change, and maybe May, the title race is still going on, and May is the most important month. But these 2 months here, December, January, are so vital for every single team in this league, because the games come at you thick and fast. And like I said, that 9-point lead could just evaporate before you even know it, like you didn't even have it. So they really just need to close out those games. I mean, they have all season, really, for the most part. But you know, the old problems kind of came back and did end up cost them on the day. So we'll see what happens with Liverpool. I still do think that it's them or City's title to win. I really do. I'm not sure it's Arsenal's. I don't think Chelsea's ready just yet, but who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's Chelsea. Maybe it's Arsenal. Frick. Maybe it's Brighton holding in the Premier League trophy. We don't know. But that's kind of my thoughts, my feelings, my opinions on this match day 14. The season is flying by. Oh my word, I can't believe we're already in that like December months of this campaign. But yeah, that's about all I have to say. I've run myself ragged here. I've said a lot. I hope you've listened. And if you didn't, then that's okay. But yeah, no, I hope you enjoyed at least. And thank you for listening. If you listened this far, if this is your first time listening, if this is your 45th time listening, thank you so much. If you're new, click all the buttons that you're supposed to, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And yeah, outside of that, Premier League match recap will be up again on Tuesday after the weekend, and we'll go from there, guys. This will be a very, very tiring schedule for both me and the players. So you think the players have it rough? I have to cover it. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, no, outside of that, I do thank you so much. And until next time, cheers, everyone.
And that was your Maple Footy podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Check my socials for any and all future updates at Official Sam Little on Instagram, where I am most active. And until next time, live, laugh, little.